Hey, this is Ross Harrison from Precision Health and Fitness, and today I'm going to talk to you a little bit about my training philosophy. I've been doing this for over 20 years and worked with all kinds of different people in all kinds of different situations, gyms, in home, people with tons of equipment, no equipment, and just really over the course of my career I've ended up coming up with my own style, and I call it a health-first approach to fitness. And while you might be thinking, well, yeah, of course I'm exercising and getting fit, and so I'm getting healthy. And I've simply found that's not the case in many situations. People think health, your heart gets healthier. Yeah, you can pretty much do anything and your heart will get a little healthier. But I like to look at the whole body, and muscles, joints, connective tissue, just everything that develops through the course of your lifetime. And a lot of fitness programs don't really think long term. They just think, what do I need to do to get bigger, faster, stronger, lose some weight? And what people don't realize until usually decades later is a lot of that training earlier in life actually made them more dysfunctional later in life. And a lot of times people don't put the pieces together because you just think, oh, I'm getting older, so I have more aches and pains. But a lot of the aches and pains with aging can really be prevented and not really occur. People can have a much greater functional capacity throughout their life if they make some modification to their training program. And those are really the things that I focus on. So I have this very simple thing that I ask myself, which is if somebody's doing an exercise, I think, okay, if I do that same exercise the same way for the next 30 years, will I be better off or not? And the reality is in many situations, it's, might look better, feel better at the moment, but, you might be destroying your shoulder, putting excess wear and tear on your knees, or whatever the case may be. Things that you can't know now, but you can watch your movements, or I can watch your movements, and analyze how things are actually affecting the development of your body. So I really do focus on making things better in the short term, but not forsaking the long term. And what that looks like a lot of exercises are modified from what people are used to seeing. Range of motion might be a little different, speeds might be a little different, but the biggest difference is I will essentially make people work mentally as much as physically. And I want people to get in touch with what things feel like, what motions feel like, to where they can feel when they're actually moving in a good way, when their body's aligned correctly, when the right muscles are doing the right amount of work. Unfortunately, while the body is amazing at adapting and doing all these wonderful things that you wouldn't think you could do, at the same time, it's also pretty lazy. And so your body will recruit the muscles that you know how to use best as much as humanly possible. And if you're not thinking about it, like people, like particularly the front of the shoulder or quads, a lot of the times, your body will automatically use those muscles in every potential exercise, every situation, even when other muscles are supposed to be working. So without like a conscious approach to thinking about what you're doing, the stronger muscles continue to get stronger. They continue to get used more frequently, and the weaker muscles actually end up doing less, which is essentially the definition of how you create a muscle imbalance. So over time of always strengthening the strongest muscles, and then typically ego does play a part here, and people like to work the things that feel good, where they feel strong, and I'm the same way. For many years I made every mistake I could possibly make pretty much, and I learned the hard way that many of those things did not serve me. So now I like to get to people before they've made a lot of mistakes for 20 or 30 years and just teach them the healthy habits now that will last a lifetime. And so, things like good posture, where you see a lot of like the rounding, people walking around like this when they're older, not normal, not a normal part of aging, completely preventable with the right foundational work. Beyond that, things like strength, endurance, like every aspect of fitness can still improve. It's just I might not focus on it. So yeah, I will sacrifice a little strength, a little endurance, even a little weight loss for healthy feeling body throughout your life. I think that's a good trade-off. A lot of people just, if you want to just push yourself as hard as possible and feel good and get into shape for summer, probably want to look somewhere else. But if you want a healthy, functional life throughout your life, I've developed a style of training that does just that. And part of it is there is no perfect posture. There is no perfect, like, there's what looks like perfect posture, but we all have problems. We all have asymmetries. We all are stronger with certain muscles than others, or left side, right side is not completely symmetrical. That's normal. But when you have differences and discrepancies, you actually want to take those into consideration when you're training. And over time, you can get those closer together to where, you know, your weaker side may never feel exactly like your dominant side. Your brain's usually always going to be a little bit better at contracting those muscles and using them effectively, but it can get a lot closer versus always relying on your dominant side to do as much as possible, and then that gap widens and eventually something falls apart because one side can't keep up with the other. So you get those things out of the way early, and functional capacity improves, pain decreases, joints are a lot healthier, a lot longer. Pretty much every aspect of fitness can improve. It's just a little different route. It might not be as flashy, might not be as mentally challenging. I don't have like a bunch of loud music on or anything, so you're going to get distracted, because really you need to be in touch with what's going on inside your body, because that's how you're going to learn. That's how the stuff you learn when you're training with me will actually carry over to other things you're doing throughout your life. And you know, a lot of times you see people have sometimes really good habits in the gym if they're trained well, and then they go and sit at the computer with terrible posture, or they pick stuff up off the ground with really horrible form, because it's like we think about it when we're exercising sometimes, but I like people to think about it so it becomes automatic with everything they do. And when people do that, you start to see other things dramatically change that they didn't expect. Like, you know, people may do yard work or different things like that, and they'll say, yeah, my back doesn't hurt after doing that anymore, and it always does. And, you know, we didn't do anything specifically for, you know, gardening per se, but we did do things that teach the back to stay in alignment and strengthen the core and different things like that. And this stuff carries over to everything. So I'll teach you all that stuff and so much more, and that's my health first approach to fitness.